Okay, Alice. So, thanks very much for doing this. And you know, like what it's about, what the film is about is trying to, do you want to put that chair?
Yeah, you say that. You're good.
What the film is about is trying to, I suppose, when people see the film, to bring up memories for them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, when you're telling stories, maybe even to name names, give some names.
Yes, yeah.
So that people can go, oh, I know who she's talking about, and I know where she's talking about, and all that.
Right.
So, thanks very much. So, Alice, we will start with, just tell us about your own family, where your mum and dad, or where your grandparents came from, and all that.
Yeah. Well, my mother came from Ballafassi. She was Dollar from Ballafassi in Glenmore. And she had 2 brothers and 3 sisters. So one of them was married in Big Wood to Mick Welch, Ballahomock. And they have 1 son, Washi. And he's married now. He has a boy and a girl. The boy is at home farming with them, and the girl is married up in Norlingford to Norman Taylor. And Michael has a new house built, and he has a partner from Wicklow by the name of, what's her name? Barrett. Shelley Barrett. And they're getting married next July. That's all I know.
The memory is good. Yes, memory is good.
And Bridie was married in Mulnakill to a man by the name of Buchel, Pat Buchel, and they had no family. And Buchel, his nephew took it over, Jimmy Buchel. They had 5 boys, but I lost contact then, like when Aunt Bridie went. But they're all married as far as I know. He was married to Station Murphy of Ballamy, that Jimmy Buchel. He's dead and she's still alive. So then we had Uncle Jim in the home place in Ballafassi. He, who was him. He had married and had no family. So the wife died on him first, and he brought down a nephew from Dublin, his brother's son. And Uncle Jack then was caretaking in Dublin, a farm. He had 2 sons, Ted, had the Blackwater, went to the Blackwater pub, yeah. And he died there a couple of years ago. So they have, I think there's 6 or 7. And I don't think I'll be able to. There's Seamus and John and Catherine and Chris and Anne-Marie, and there's another fella. Can't think of his name. So they're all married. Only the youngest fella is with the mother below in Abbey Park. So that's that family. So then he had another sister, Sis, that never married. She had some little deformity. So she never married, and she's dead with years. I can only barely remember being at the funeral. I wasn't allowed to the grave. I know I had a red coat on me anyway. And that's all I can remember. I can't remember what she was like or anything. I was very young like when she died. So that's all memories. So then Daddy's father came from Weatherstown in Glenmore. Now, I don't know about Granddaddy. He had brothers, all right, but I didn't ever go into, they were brothers in it, all right, but I don't know where they went or who they are or anything that way. So Daddy then, there was 3 of us here. He married Mary Dollard, and there was 3, Eddie and myself and another brother in Galway.
And what's your earliest memory of here?
My earliest memories of here.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose you had to toe the line, and you were given bits and pieces to do, and as you got a bit onto 10, 11, then you were put to milk the cows and feed the calves, and you'd have to boil linseed meal at that time, and maybe we'd be in town maybe, and Mammy said, oh Christ, I never forgot to put on the linseed meal for the calves of the evening. Christ, we better hurry on and be home if we don't have it ready from all the place will fall down. So you'd have to rush home then and pot on the fire then and get the fire going, boil it up. The fan was there and twist it up and put in the blocks and the coal under it and boil it and have it ready, bring it out then and leave it to cool in the yard for 'em when they'd have the cow's milk to feed the calves with the linseed meal and milk. And then the milk would go to the creamy, and when they got on a bit then you give them the separated milk, you get it back. And you give that to the calves.
Where did you go to primary school?
Oh, to Slieverue.
Okay.
Slieverue.
And what's your earliest memory of the school?
Well, my earliest memories of the school that I was never in it too often. I was always sick. I was awful delicate. I was well over a year before I stood up. I was nearly 2 before I started walking. And Mammy was asking Granny to know, would it ever happen that I'd walk? And she said she will. So I'm still going anyhow.
What was wrong with you when you were small? You were just...
But I suppose I was slow. Probably a small baby or something, I don't know. They didn't ever say, nor I didn't ever ask. You didn't ask questions that time. Or you got so much to do as you were able to do it. And you kind of went from there. So
did your grandparents live with you?
They did, they did. I remember finding Granddaddy dead. Okay. Mammy was washing here. That time it would be a bath on the table or whatever, the handiest place, maybe up on 2 chairs, and you're washing by hand. There were no washing machines or anything. So she was washing and she sent me up to see the Granddaddy eat his breakfast. And she gave me the post going up, and then she sent me up to know did he open it. So she said to me, did he eat his breakfast? And I said he didn't. And I can remember coming down and she going up and she running out and over to Welch's, over to Josie Welch across the field there. And they coming over and I can't remember any more after it. So
but did you
Granny was dead. Like I was only that age, 2 or that age. Like when she died, I don't ever remember her at all.
But you do remember your granddad? Oh,
I do, yeah.
What kind of man was he?
He was a big, able man, and he wore a hat. And you know, he never he used to go to milk to town and to Ferrybank 3 times a day that time. Going up early in the morning in the summertime, and then at dinner time and evening time again, milk the cows 3 times a day. But I didn't remember milking or doing anything with cows. I remember him coming in, but I wasn't old enough to milk at that time.
But do you remember, was he a quiet man? Would he be...
Oh, he was, yeah, but you know, I don't much remember him as coming and sitting at the table with us, you know, that kind of way. But I remember going up and getting them in the bed. I suppose that's what stuck out in my mind, like, you know, when he got deadly in the bed, like, you know.
And then did she have a wake here for him?
Oh, we did, yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't know, funeral parlours that time.
And would you remember the people coming and all that time?
I don't remember. I think we were brought up to walls, I'd say. That we weren't, you know, at that time you wouldn't be allowed around. Young children wouldn't be allowed to see what would be going on or what would be going on that time. So I don't remember the funeral or any part of it like that. I can't remember anything.
And who did you play with around here when you were small?
Oh, Bridie Lynch, Bridie Wall. And then when I got bigger, I had friends, Welches over in Gillespie. Dick Welch's daughters. There were 4 of them in it there in the camogie thing. So I joined up with them then as I got older. And Brady, we used to go to Tramore twice of a Sunday. We'd go after dinner and we'd be brought home and we'd do the jobs. And Dick used to go with the milk to Ferry Bank, Dick Wall. You know Dick going down with the milk to Ferry Bank long ago. And he'd go with the milk and do the cows and go up with the milk and come back, and we'd sit up with Tramore again, the second time on a Sunday for the summer. And ice cream and chips then when we'd be coming home. I can't remember, it was something great, sure. And then we kind of, I went, Mrs. Morrissey then learned us to do Cayley dancing above on the road outside of the school. And we kind of got into the Irish music and Cayley and all that kind of stuff. And then when we came down to the tech, then Mr. Delaney was up there. And he was into that kind of stuff as well. So he taught us for the few months I went, all the bits and pieces about Cayley, and sure, we were great at it then. So we used to go into the Arundel, and that time was going flying, sure. All sorts of bands. We were going with Dick and Mrs. Wall and Bridie. They'd wait there looking at the dancing, and we'd dance away for the night and come home again. So it was a great time, and a great time, you know.
And where, like, as children around the area when you were small, where would you go for a walk if you're heading off someplace?
Oh God, we'd go down the road, down the way, and maybe up down to Giles's, Mammy and Mrs. Larissy and all whatever children was there, like, and the whole lot of us. But there were no cars, you see. There was nothing. There might be one, you might see one car, like, in the whole round of the block. And that's all in the summertime, you go up walking that way.
And would you pick berries and stuff like that?
God, we used to pick the blackberries, yeah. Sure, we used to be loaded then, sure. We had the blackberries and bring them up to Griffins to sell them.
And did you ever, like you said, you went to Tramore? Would you go swimming, or would you?
Not at all. We used to go down along for a walk, the two of us, and they'd have us timed and be back again. And we timed to come back, and we'd maybe go up around the amusements. Then we might have a few pence to put in the slot machines or something.
And would you go into Waterford much, like when you were young?
Oh, we did, yeah. Oh, God, we did, yeah. Sure, I used to go every week to do the shopping. Then at about 13, 14, the bus would be going. I was told not to take any lips from anybody, and the bus was going from the crossover. And I remember one day I was going, I suppose about 16, and this fella came up the road and he stopped. And flip it, I don't know, I got in anyway, and just up the road he went. He was going to the creamery. The man was all right, like he didn't touch me or anything. But I got some fright, I'm telling you. He was after buying Connolly's at the time. He was a Mr. Sexton. No, I can't think what his name was. But the man, like, you know, he only turned up the road, sure. He thought, I suppose, that I didn't. But you see, I realised then that I was after doing what I was told not to do. But anyway, I got to town anyway, and I used to go with Benny Donovan, nan to the new priest. The two of us used to go in on the bus of a Saturday, and we get all the messages then, and we'd leave them in Miss Carl's, and then we go around having a chat at who we'd meet, and into the different shops where we'd know anyone. And
what kind of shops would you go to? Tell us some of the shops.
We used to go into Woolworths mostly, have a look in it. And then we might go up, we knew Betty Foskin in the post office up in Broad Street. We'd go up to have a chat with her. And we'd meet then Rita Murphy. She was hairdressing in Joan Welch's. Joan was over in Ballamona, and Rita was from the Bullery above. So we meet up with, and might meet then with the girl, what's the name of the girl is married to McGovern, Bernie Kiley. meet up with her then another Saturday. We'd have another walk around, and we might go into the clothes shops then if we were looking for anything be coming up. We'd have a look anyway. But all the dresses and everything, they were always brought home. As I was never much in town shopping for style as such. They'd bring home whatever my mother would think would be suitable. And that was that, so.
And like a lot of those shops in the old days, I mean, would be completely different to the shops now.
Oh God, should there be somebody there to attend to you when you go in, and they'd be able to eat your fish and everything. They'd be able to pick out, what would be in the run, like, That all they wanted that time was the money, which was scarce in them times.
And and then back here, you said you didn't spend much time in school.
No.
So, I know you were sick.
I was sick. I was always sick. I used to get awful tonsillitis. And I remember one Christmas I was out and I had a big abscess on the back of my neck. And I was in the cot. And the nurse came in to dress it and look after it, and she had a pecker of a dog. And at that time they used to call him the Fitz, and we used to have 2 buckets of water under the table. The little pecker came down in the cot to me, and I went up on the wardrobe, and why the wardrobe didn't turn under me, I don't know. Up on the wardrobe I went. It's up near the blinking ceiling. And the pecker of a dog, he came up and spilled the 2 buckets of water under the table. I can still see the little whore on it. So she brought him after, and she used to bring him up in a basket after that and leave him on the back of the bike. But anyway, Miss Den met me above. I went up to the Christmas party, and I had plaits in my hair at the time. And the plait was hitting the old abscess I had on the back of my neck. And she said, "How well," she said, "you're able to come to the party and you couldn't come to school." Above the hall, and I hadn't any good memories of her, but still I went to her funeral. But she was lovely, she used to always dress lovely, as Catherine would tell you. They are always a twin suit and a grey skirt. I used to be always admiring her style. That's what I went to school for. And Mrs. Brennan was up there for a while, and they were Miss Elbert from Belfast. Do you know her, Catherine, at all? She was up there as well. I don't know, I think she's in the Roar or someplace now, married.
And did you make new friends in school?
Well, no. We were all class-like, and I don't even remember who was in the class. All I know is the confirmation and the commune. I had photos of them too, I don't know where I have them.
And like when you were small, when you were young, was there many, like, do you remember any of the old people in the area?
Old people in the area was Mam Hogan's. There was a house above it, in the walls, lane there, going in. There was a little house there, but I was never in it. I was as far as the door once. And then we had Mrs. Connolly and Mick over here. Elderly people. I remember Welch's then was Johnny and Josie and Babby, all dead now. They lived across from us here. And I remember poor Johnny, he used to get a bit like, and at that time, sure, they had nothing borrowed. And Mrs. Connolly finding him on the road, and Johnny started cursing. And she said, "Only for Tazinia shouldn't come out." Oh, Jenny, don't recall that.
And speaking of cursing, what about like old sayings that people would have way back? Would you remember any of those?
Oh, they were, yeah. They were. Connolly was here at the threshing one year, and he sent in Billy. There was someone after bringing him. I don't know. Do you remember the blocks of tobacco?
Yeah.
And he said to Billy, he was after sending someone to the shop anyway, and when you'd be wishing well to a person, they said, "May you live till your shin bone cut tobacco." And then you had the different ones about the seasons and the months of the year. You had, February fills the dykes black or white, and March many weathers. April showers brings forth May flowers. And sure, June then you don't go too soon to the sea. And I don't know what they said about May. Oh yeah, wet and windy May fills the barns with corn and hay. So them are the...
And do you remember...
We brought then stuff up to the church for Easter. You know, Auntie be going to sow like in the line of grain or maybe eggs. You know, if you had cocks and hens and turkey cocks and turkey hens and ducks and that. You brought up an egg from each category up to the church, and along with the seeds and the spuds, and they'd be laid there and a packet of salt. They'd be laid there on the back seat for Mass on Easter Saturday morning, which would be at 7 o'clock or 7:30, I think. And there used to be 3 Masses. So when the Masses would be over, the priest would come down and bless all the fruits of the earth. You know, and you bring it home then and you sow whatever you'd be after bringing up blessed. So they had that super, I don't know, I suppose it was
And that would bring good luck.
good luck, yeah, to the crops and that. But I suppose they were no better luck then than they are now, I don't know. They don't do it. Well, they do it now in a different way, like. You know, they do bless everything during the ceremonies for Easter.
And speaking of superstition and all that, I mean, there was also a great belief in things like the fairies and all that kind of stuff, and the banshee way back. Do you remember?
I remember one person dying that I heard the squeaking going up during the night. And, you know, it was unusual, like, you know. So they are such a thing. And I remember my own aunt, like that woman that was up in Mulnakill, like, that there was something screeching around. I can know where the turn was in the road when we were bringing her to the church. You know, that's not that. I don't know how long she's dead. Sure, she's dead. Sure, she is. When was that big snow?
About
Catherine?
67 years
60. Yeah, I'd say it was. Yeah. Around that time that she died. And there was something screeching along, but I didn't see anything, nor I didn't see what went up the road that night either, like, you know, that man died down at the end of the lane.
But that would be a forewarning that someone was going to die.
Well, he was after dying, I suppose. I don't know, but he was dead the next day anyway, like, I don't know what time, you know, we didn't know what time he died.
And what about the fairies? Would you believe in that? I mean, like, would the old people talk about that?
Well, they would now. There were fairy forts in the fields and that, and they wouldn't touch them. No, they wouldn't dare touch them. They said it wouldn't be lucky.
And was there any other superstitions that you remember from way back that people would have?
Well, you in May, like May Day, you don't go looking for anything, or you don't give anything. Your luck, they be saying your luck, and you'd be going around with the holy water. Now, an awful lot of people still do it, that they scatter the holy water both inside and outside the house for, you know, the eve of May, the last day of April. And then you had the May bush, but I don't know what the auntie about the May bush. I always put it up even now as it is, like, I'm only myself here, but I don't know the roots of it, like, you know.
Okay. And was there something too about the first visitor on New Year's Day or something? Was there something about that?
Well, if you got money on the first Monday, it was Hansel Monday, or if you got a present of anyone on Hansel Monday, it was supposed to be lucky.
Okay.
The first Monday of the year.
Okay.
That's what I heard about it, but I didn't hear anything about New Year's Day.
Oh, that's probably what it is. Yeah, you're right.
The first Monday in May.
Yeah.
If you got anything, or in the line of money or whatever, it's supposed to be lucky.
Okay. And like you spoke about the confirmation day.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit
My
about that?
confirmation day was a place covered in snow, the 4th of May, and I had a white dress and white shoes, and my uncle came up to bring me down to the confirmation. It was in Ferrybank, and Billy, the lad, was in Galway with the youngest, And he got in with his black shoe and left it down on my white one. That's the only remembrance I have of confirmation day. And I was the second last to be confirmed. And Lily Welch was the last, the two of us. And she had a pink dress on her that I thought was a crime at the time, but the colours were beginning to come in at that time. You know, the majority of people had white and veils and white shoes and that, but Lily had a pink dress. I can still see her beside me in the seat in Ferrybank. And we went nowhere, came home again, place was white. We had the cows out after leaving them out after the winter, and they had to go out that night and bring them all back in again. It was snowing.
So you had white dresses in white snow?
In white snow, yeah.
That's gas.
And I remember Maureen Kavanagh saying to me that she walked down to Ferrybank and walked home again, and she went into Kathleen Bryan's for an ice cream. Yeah.
And speaking of walking, I mean, you didn't have tractors or anything here?
No,
So,
never.
Tell us about that. Where did that come from? Was that just a tradition in the house, or how did that happen?
It was always, they always had horses, you see, and they never changed. Like Daddy was in it and he kept working like up to the last, and he had the horses working. Eddie kept on then going to the creamery and going to the mill below for the meal and that kind of thing with the horses, but they used to get in then somebody to do the tractor work, we'll say, you know, hire in someone to do the tractor work, like, you know, to plough and to till and sow and take out and sure the spuds then, we used to be sowing the spuds, we used to have a good lot of spuds, and every Holy Thursday we'd be surely above at the garage sowing the spuds, and everyone else would be going up to the church of a Good Friday. And I used to be saying to me, Father, in the name of God, I said, all the people going up, he said, they're all right. He said, let them up. He said, you can go up tonight.
Well, that was a tradition that you had to have the potatoes in before.
Oh, sure, the quicker, the earlier you'd have them in, the more they'd like it, like, you know. But then it would depend on the weather and when, you know, when it would be dry enough to put them in. That time they'd be spreading manure. They'd have to bring out manure from a heap and put it along in heaps out of the cart, and then come along and spread it between the drills and close the drills on it, and the spuds and the fertiliser. So you came on, then you'd have to weed them. It's another job we had, weeding the spuds and tinning the mangels and tinning turnips.
There's a lot of hard work.
That was a lot of work, and we used to have the turnips up in Airmount, up above Slieverue there, a field of them. And it was no easy task then to put a couple of bags on your knees and bend down, and your poor hands from the hot clay and the stones and the weeds pulling. Jeez, me and Joseph, I used to have hangnails, and then I got a bit smart. I got a present of a pair of gloves from a fellow once. And I put them on, tinned the mangels and turnips. They said it was unlucky to get gloves and I never wore them.
Say again, there was unlucky what?
To get gloves that time, a final shake hands. They used to say, and I never wore them. But I wore them doing the tin mangels and turnips. Oh God, I got a good few years out of them. There were great stuff in them.
And do you know, you mentioned earlier on about the creamery. Did you hand milk cows?
Yeah, oh yeah. All the whole time. Up to the time Eddie went to hospital.
Okay.
Up to a couple of years ago.
Okay.
We hand milked him.
Right.
And then I got a machine, and sure I only had the machine when Eddie got cropped up, and it was all out there now and nothing happened.
How many cows did you have then?
Well, we had up to 18 when no one had cows.
Oh my
But
God.
then we never, like when Daddy went, they went down to about 12, and that's what we used to have then, like when everyone else had 13, 40, like, you know, they doubled up on them. But just, you know, I suppose Eddie used to go up a good bit to America, and he had interest in it, but at the same time he used to be watching to go up on the holidays. But he'd leave all the work to me. Sure, he did an awful lot of cross-country running.
He did?
Oh, yeah. But sure, I'd say he killed himself at it.
But it's a lot of work to milk 12 cows every day, twice a day. Or
that was all right, but you come the winter when he'd be gone up training, it was Sunday morning, all them cows would be in abroad. And Daddy'd be gone up Tairmount to feed the cattle, and Mammy and myself would go out. We'd wash up after the breakfast, and I don't know where Billy used to be. He wasn't around. Maybe he was gone. He went to college for a while. I don't know, but Jim had be gone over to Ballinamone looking after his own. He was an uncle that was with us here. And he'd be gone up over, and sure, he'd be having a chat over there. He'd come back to his dinner and to be ready. But we'd clean out the horse. Daddy used to do the horse house. There'd be 3 horses in. He'd do that maybe. And we'd clean out the cow shed. But it was all right when it was near, when you could get out where the door would be, like, you know. But when you go up to the other end of it, you'd have to half it coming down, just throw out the manure, like, you know, out in a heap in the yard. And then we had an awful lot of pigs as well. So we'd clean out all them, and 100 buckets of mangels and turnips we'd grind while the dinner would be boiling. The 2 of us, one at either side of the machine twisting. There were no electric machines that time. So then we got a little bit up and we got the machine. And when we got the machine, then there were no mangels or turnips wanting for them. It was all the pellets and nuts and hay and silage. So we had a machine then, but we had no turnips or mangels to win it.
It was hard to win.
You couldn't win, sure. You couldn't win.
And
we enjoyed it.
And the creamery, where was the creamery?
Up where your man had the place beyond now, the Murphy. Do you know where the petrol pumps are past the village there? Yeah, the garage and
the
shop.
What was it like then? Can you tell us what the creamery was like?
Well, you see, I never went to the creamery. I went up for a meal and stuff, all right, and up to the store, but I never went with the milk. Eddie used to always, or Jim, like when they were here, they'd go up with the milk and bring back the separated milk then. You'd had that then to leave it go sour to make the brown bread. And the calves got it, the pigs got it, sows got it, with maybe mangels and pollards and that kind of thing. Mm. But when they'd have a young litter of bonobs, like, you'd have to feed them well. So you'd give them plenty of bran, and presto you used to get that time.
And were you good at making the brown bread?
Oh yeah. I made the brown bread up to the time Eddie went. But so no use making it, no one tasting it, only myself. And unless you'd make it, I went out of the habit of making or baking anything. And I don't do anything that way now. Nothing.
A lady of leisure?
Well, I'm not. I'm going up and down to the home, you see, up and down to the nursing home. And I get, cook for myself. And a hard job too to cook for one. Mm. You can't buy too much of anything because you can't use it. And there's nobody coming in to use it either. And then if you have the house without anything, there'll surely someone come that you feel you should give them something.
You can't do it. Alice, just go back to when you were young and I know you were very much involved with the commodity.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about that, how that all happened?
Oh, before the commodity we used to have a top and a whip over on the road.
What was that?
A top. What would they be called, them tops? Remember them, Catherine?
Wooden thing, yeah.
Like a spinning top?
A spinning top, yeah.
Oh, right.
And you had a whip to keep it going.
Yeah.
Oh, we did that. And what we used to do too is we used to go over to take the numbers of the cars. Then they were coming up, getting a little bit more plentiful. And the two of us to go over, there were a big block over opposite the cross there. There were a drain going in under it, and there were a big cement block that you could sit on. So we used to give hours over there, taking the numbers of the cars.
Would you remember any of the rhymes that girls used to have when they were skipping and with the rope and all that? Would you remember any of those songs?
No, I don't remember any of them.
Okay.
But I remember the beddies we used to play in school, that we'd have 7 7 divisions from 1 to 7, and you had a bit of a slate. You had thrown on the first one, which was handy enough, and the second and the third, but when it came to the 5th and the 6th, and if you left it go on the line, you were out. You wouldn't win. But that's Lily Welch now, she was my friend at that. So we used to have a great time. She broke her arm then after turkeys, and turkey were laying out or something. She went up on the ditch and fell off the ditch. She broke her arm. She was out of school for 2 months. It set and it set wrong. They had to break it the second time, and she had to have it redone. So she was out of school for a long time, but she that nearly finished the school then, like.
And you know the way, like, what was it like, you know the way girls had particular jobs and boys had different jobs? I mean, did you find that kind of difficult when you were growing up, or did you just accept it the way it was?
Well, I turned my hand to anything that was to be done. I never said no to anyone. And like, I suppose being an only girl among 2 boys, then you had to go with the flow, like there were no allowances made for you, kind of, you know.
And how did you get into the camogie?
Well, the Welshes were in it, you see, and I was pally with them, and so they hauled me in, but I wasn't in it in the beginning. It was only when there was probably a year or 2 going maybe before I joined. Some of those would be older than I am. And, but that's my memories of it anyway, going down and
where
playing.
did you play?
We played in Barton's Field below, in opposite Holmes that had a shop down there. And we had Johnny Butler and Percy Atkins, and Mrs. Butler were our trainers, or whatever you like to call them. So there were a girl of the Butlers, Marion Butler. Who did she marry? She's up in Drumdown, isn't she, Catherine?
She's not married yet.
Oh, isn't she?
No.
Oh,
I
I thought she was, yeah. Marion, anyway. She's down there, isn't she? I wouldn't tell you know her now, I'd say, if I saw her. I suppose she would be able to tell us a good bit about.
And so it was just an old field down there?
That's just an old field, yeah. It's like Cattle and all was in it, sure, I'm telling you. Just a goalpost there, and we'd hit around on the ball for a while and come home again on bicycles.
But then obviously you got good at some stage, because you ended up winning the county final.
But sure, it was easy to get good then, because I suppose there were a good few teams around. There were Ballymountain in it, and who else, Catherine, can you remember? There were, wasn't there another one over? What do they call? Big Wood over around there, wasn't there one over around there?
But you won the actual county...
We won the county final, and we won the league as well the same year.
1961.
But I can't remember, like, who we played or anything. I can't remember back that far.
Yeah. Well,
and I don't remember the scores either.
And
but I'm sure that they're in Kilkenny, if you wanted to get.
What we'll do, Alice, afterwards is we'll get you to kind of point out who was on the team from the photograph.
The photographs, yeah. But I'd say the one with the cup, and that's the team that won the county final. That they were probably, they won there from your man, Brett. That was played in...
that was in Kilkenny.
That was, that was the championship one, I'd say.
Okay.
Because he was congratulating us, and I remember we winning up in Ballyhale, like I can remember that.
Yeah.
I can remember Percy and John Butler saying you're county champions, but sure, we didn't even know what it was. No, we didn't care either. Tell you the truth.
Yeah.
There were no minds in that time. You went with the flow, like you didn't kind of. I suppose we were coming up to the age then we were going dancing, and there were different things going on, like that you kind of went to the Skowbridge and to the platform, and that's where we kind of started, and we went from that then into the Arundel and the Olympian every other place then after that.
And it was mostly Kaylee's you went to, was it?
Oh, mostly Kaylee's, but then we went to the Fates on bicycles. I remember we went to Ross one night. I'd say there were surely 30, 40 of us. And when we were coming home anyway, I suppose it was 3 in the morning or so, we all fell off of the bikes over around, you know where Pascal died, the Route Glen? Sure, they weren't a hope in hell, sure. All the bicycles was knotted up and one couldn't get up, sure. If they did get up, there's someone else knocking back again. And all the bikes was tangled up. Oh God. But there were nothing broke, no, there were no one hurted.
And that was all of you went to New Ross?
To New Ross, yeah, down to the dance to New Ross on bicycles. And we used to go to Munlavat and Kilmacow and Muncain on bicycles.
And was there any Irish music in the houses around here?
No, we had the radio, all right, sure. Dinjo used to be on that time. Do you remember him, Catherine? You're not that far.
Just a bit.
Oh God. So then Eddie used to have Luxembourg on. There used to be a lot of lovely songs on it too.
Pop songs?
Yeah, yeah. Well, kind of something with a bit of go in it, like the Irish music, like, you know, you had those songs. So to be on starting late in the night at 10 or 11 in the night time. He always had radio in the room and always kept it. And even to the day he went out of it, the radio, he had it on, left it on. It was on all the time since he went. I didn't switch it off.
And I mean, radio is obviously a good company.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'd have it on myself too. I'd have it on during the night. I don't switch it off either. But you don't hear what's going on outside, like, if you have it on. Like, you'd hear every sound on the road if I hadn't the radio on. And it should be only bothering you. You know, when you're on your own, you see, you have to have some bit of noise in the place. Which is a lonely life now.
And you never bothered with the TV?
We did, but all I could see on television, I was the only one among 2 men here. And when all these things that come up on it, that I was never used to, I used to be devastated looking at it. So when they changed to that, whatever they changed to last there, we never changed the television. I didn't want it. And Eddie was kind of getting, you know, he had no interest in television, so I wouldn't be bothered with it. Because they're either getting in or they're getting out of bed every time you look at it. And I said, Jesus Christ, I said, one thing is enough at the time. And I'm not a Holy Mary by any manner or means, but I could not stick that, like. Nor all this old Psalm Austin that goes on, it's only just not good. Not good for the mind.
And like you said earlier on before we started that you never went on holiday.
No.
Why was that, Alice?
I never wanted to go. The only holiday I ever had was 2 weeks in Arkeen. I was 39 then. That was the only holiday I ever had. Seriously, and I don't regret it. I don't know, and I can't see the sense in people going up every fucking weekend. I don't know. Too much money, I say. Because if you're happy what you're doing, you need never go on a holiday. You need never go on a holiday. If you want a holiday, get up and walk down the road there. You see the trees, you see the birds. Talk to yourself, do whatever you like. You might meet someone to talk to. If you didn't, well, fair enough. Mind is relaxed. That's my summing up of life and a holiday. I don't know, I can't see why people must go so much. Well and good. I suppose now that they are to the pin of their collar in jobs and that, and it is relaxation, but relaxation to me is get out and go walk or do something. Even if it was only picking stones around the yard there or picking the weeds out on the around or something. Or even go out and pick a bundle of sticks. I can't believe it, from the country going into town and buying a fist of what did they call them? Kindling. Ah, Jesus, I said, only for too much money. I never see it. You always went out and you picked the small sticks from under the trees. And I still do it, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I still have a basin or a box of them there, and I keep them inside the way I need to go out in the night if the cooker went down that I need to start it up. Because I would be afraid to go out in the night time now, the way things are gone.
And do you still cook on the range?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And like, would you, like you mentioned, like going out and the birds and all that, but did you always like the countryside, nature and all that kind of stuff?
Well, sure, I never had much of an option, but I never wanted to go either. It was never, Eddie always went, maybe twice a year to America, but I couldn't see, for the life of me, like, why he had to go. Because even my mother, even when I was looking, you see, I was for 30 years looking after sick people, that I had no choice of going anywhere, only just to do what I was doing. And then they were only gone when Eddie got sick. So that was another 10 years. That was 40 years in all of my life, but I don't regret it. And the nurse and everyone, when they were coming, they'd say, oh, leave him in for respite, leave him here. Well, I said, when I was small, I said, they didn't get much respite. Or when they were looking after us when we were small. And I said, why should I let him go? I said, I'm able to do it and I'm going to do it. And I never left any of them. But I did leave Dunkerlane for 2 weeks. They said I'd be in the better of it. And I did let him. And when I went in after that, they said not to come back near him for 2 weeks. And when I went in, I hardly knew him. And I said, that's the end of respite. Like, he pined away when he went in. And I don't know, I had to start him off, giving him goodie and Complan and stuff to bring him up, and I brought him home. So I said, that's it, no more.
So you're obviously a very caring woman and very good woman.
Well, you had to be when you were the only girl and your parents were there. And like Mammy was in it with me when Daddy was laid up. And then she was for 9 years going around, and she was in a wheelchair for 2 years before she eventually passed on. And Daddy was 12 months sick on the bed, like, you know, that he wasn't out. But she was there with me when he was laid up. But you see, when Mammy went then, there was no one. So then the uncle was there, and he was crocked up as she died. So between in and out at the hospital and looking after him then, I was joined the bridge club. And I was going in and out to that, and I was getting on fairly well, and I was going out one night and he was after getting all soiled. I came back to fix him up. I couldn't leave him that way till I come back, he'd be all sore. And I fixed them up and I went in and they all started clapping. Well, I said, it's the last night you'll be clapping. I said, because I'm not coming in here, and I never went in after. You couldn't make time like when you're looking after someone. Okay. You couldn't.
But were you always good at the cards?
I never played cards until I went in. So the nurse after Mammy died said to me, well, the only thing I'd ever liked to do. And I used to be going in and out to Cranley's that time, paying the bills, the bet. And there was an old lady there, I don't know what they used to call her now. I don't know what they used to call her. Auntie, I think, the young Cranleys used to call her. And she was into the cards, and she said to me, she said, you should join, she said. So I went in and I took lessons, but I was only beginning to get the grasp of it anyway when this happened. So I said, that's it. I said, I'm not going to bother ever trying myself to time again, or I didn't.
And to go back to when you used to go to the dances, were you a good dancer?
Oh God, we were marvellous Cayley dancers at that time.
All right. And would you do sets as well?
Oh no, I never did the sets.
Okay.
I went down to set dancing there about a month ago, down to Caregiving with that first cousin and the wife. the same night I had an ear infection. And I was only sitting looking at him. And when half time they had a tea break. So they said they'd have the tea, and she came down to me and she said, come on up to the tea. So I couldn't stand. I was like I was drunk with the old ear infection. I really didn't know what was wrong with me either. So I said, you'll have to catch me a hand. I said, I can't walk. Jesus, she said, what's wrong with you? So when the last dance came up anyway, one of the fellas that was running the thing came down. He said, come on, he said, you'll be able to do it all right. Because I said, I'm not able to stand. I said, I couldn't do anything tonight anyway. But if it was another night, I would, like, you know. I'd try it anyway, but I never did set dancing. But all the limerick and the 16-hand reel and, you know, all those ones, the fairy reel, all those, they were all, the crack was mighty sure on the Arundel that time.
And they were a great way to meet people, weren't they?
Oh, Lord, sure. They were, and they used to be awful crowds at them too, like. Then you got to know all the crowds. Sure, it was only there when Eddie was in Arkeen that I used to go in on the bus to see Eddie, to give him his dinner. And I come out then, and I come out in time to go out on the bus to Ballygunner. And it was easier stay at that side of the road, there was a bus shelter in it, and get the bus out rather than going crossing the road and you had nothing. And then there'd be different strangers, at least you'd know people after coming out of the hospital. So I used to go out on the bus, and this lady came up to me anyway. Do you mean to tell me, she said, are you still going? I said, I am. I said, why? I said, why? And what about that lovely man you had, she said. Did you marry him? Dear God, I didn't. Do you mean to tell me, she said, you didn't marry that man? No, I said, I didn't. I said, and he only died there, I said, a couple of months ago. Well, my God, she said, weren't you too some dancers, she said. And she said, the style you used to have, she said. Well, I said, I don't remember. I said, having much. Oh, she said, I remember looking at the lovely dresses you used to have. And I didn't ask her. She was from town. She bought a small house in Ballygunner, and she was living out there beside her daughter. And I never see the woman since, but I was in Dunn's there a month ago, and this man came up to me. Do you remember me? He said. And I looked, well, I said, all depends, I said, on where I met you. Do you remember? He said, the Arundel and the Cayley's. Oh, I said, I do. I said, and well, he said, weren't they sometimes? But you know, half was in the shop, was listening to him and looking at him and looking at me. I said, well, ever get out of here quick. Oh, Lord. And I said, I don't know, I said. And he said, he's O'Callaghan. I can't remember him. Maybe if I rack my brains enough, but sure. There's so much things to think about when you come home. You don't have time to think about who you'd meet. So that was it anyway. So
well, you must have stood out if people are still talking about you after all these years.
Oh, stop it. I was down in the home there a week ago, or a fortnight ago, and this lady came from Mullavat. She said, sure, you were always the queen of Slieverue, she said. We are that, I said, for God's sake. I said, I was no queen no more than anyone. Oh, my God, she said, you always had lovely style. I said, God, I said, I don't think I had. I don't know what style I had. I know I had one nice dress that I liked all right, but that was the only one I thought. So I must have stood out some way, but self-praise is no praise. I don't believe myself.
You mentioned your friend, your partner, or your friend. What was his name?
Package Isle.
Okay. And he was a good dancer?
He was, yeah. Yeah, he was up from Caregiving, mile away about. Then he used to come down and do the farm work and that, like, you know. He used to do the ploughing and the tilling and the sowing for Eddie there, and for Daddy as well when he was in it.
And did you meet him at the dance?
Oh, I met him at a Cayley up in Slieverue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it was Mr. Delaney that taught us in the beginning when we were going to the tech, like, you know, the different parts of the different dances and that. He used to have us at lunchtime and that. He was really a great man. Mr. Delaney that time. So I don't know where he went. Did you know where he went,
No,
Kat?
I haven't a clue. I don't remember him.
Did you know him at all?
No. No.
But she knew Mr. Pure, did you?
I did.
Yeah,
Was it
yeah,
Christie, all right?
yeah.
Okay, Alice, and I'm just trying to think now, is there anything else I want to ask you? I suppose, I mean, obviously this area has changed a lot over the years too, hasn't it?
Oh, but there were no houses at all around. There was only Welches and Conleys. In my early time, and sure, all the houses over at the road here now on the left as you go out, they're all, and I don't even know who's living in them. And then you had the houses up the way, there were no one in Walls Lane, you had Mam Hogan's at the end of it, that's gone out of it, where Francis Welch had the house there. And then Paddy Shore Wall built the new house, and then you had the garage. One night we were up at Devotions, the garage was being built, Bridie and myself, and we were coming down, and this fella came up, and I don't know what he was Boone or Moon or something. He brightened the likeness, and they had the holes dug that time for the tanks to put him down. And for the life, and we were only talking about it there a month ago, how in the name of God that we got from the road into the door of the garage, that we didn't fall down the holes. We don't know. Even Bridie was saying it there a month ago. She said, how did we escape that night? And I think who it was Paddy Foran frightening us. She said it was Annie, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you. We were only young ones coming down from Devotions. That time you'd have May Devotions and October Devotions. And you'd have the confraternity the first Sunday in the month. I had the book and I was the head of the prefect. But sure, all the people that I had, they're all gone now.
When you say you had the book, would that be like you did all the responses and all that?
No, but you had the names of everyone in the district that would be attending the confraternity.
Oh, okay.
And you'd mark them for each month. You know, you'd have the confraternity the first Sunday of each month. And it was 2 shillings, I think, for the year, or I don't know, it was 6pence or something for every night, something like that. I still have the book someplace, I know, anyway.
And would you be religious?
Well, I was in the Legion of Mary for a good while. When I started first, like around the time I was in the Caregiving that time. But I never we used to have patrician meetings then about religion and about all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I was never much into it, but I do say my prayers, and I do say the rosary every day, and a novena since I was confirmed. I never missed it. Or I wouldn't, and I think prayer is a great thing.
And would you have a favourite saint that you pray to?
Well, Saint Teresa, and you'd have Our Lady, the novenas to Our Lady at the rosary, you know. I remember going over for the cross put up on Caregiving Rock that time, walking over the stations of the cross up and going over to have that blessed. That was in 1950.
Is that the cross up on the rock?
Up on the rock, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And was there a tradition of going up there once a year or something?
No, we never went up after that. Once the cross was up there, we never went up after that.
Was there any holy wells around here this time, at that time?
Oh, there were, yeah, down in Welches there. There's a well down there. I don't know. I always called, they used to always say Lure's Bog, Lady Lure's Bog, but then somebody else said that wasn't the name of it at all. What's it, Catherine? What did they call it the night they went down to the holy well down there?
St. Mary's, it was Our Lady.
St. Mary's, yeah. Yeah, but they used to say, Welsh's used to say Lady Lure's Bog.
Never heard that.
Okay.
You know, and that well is still down there. They have it, reeled up now, yeah. Yeah, but they don't, that was around the 15th of August, wasn't it, they went?
That's right.
That year we went down. But that was the first time I ever saw it. As near as it was. I was never down in the castle yard. Once. Kilmurray Castle. Once is all I was ever down there in that yard. Because they had a sheep dip and it was dangerous. Well, maybe they were trying to keep us out of it, I don't know, but they told us not to ever go down it anyway, it's just too dangerous. Afraid we get in where they were dipping the sheep and you'd be lost in it. But we never went down to that yard, never. But then there were, Mr. Slattery himself was in it, and they were only caretaking, and Desperate was in it. He was a man that if there were sick animals, or at that time you were given whole turnips to the cows, and if they got a small turnip in their throttle or anything, you'd have to get someone to relieve it. So Bill Desperate was the man. He'd come up and he was able to, had something to relieve it.
How do you spell that name, Desperate?
Despard, Desperate.
Okay. And was it, you mentioned the vet, the Cranleys.
Yeah.
Were they the vets that came out around this
They
area?
were, yeah.
Or were they for horses or were they for all animals?
All animals, but he was mostly a horsey man.
Yeah.
So you know that from town, like, you know that he was. And then there were John, and there were Plunkett. He's a doctor, he's up in Raoult, isn't he, up around there, and John is in England. I think still practicing a bit.
Okay. And was there any kind of home cures, like, you know the way people had cures?
Well, they were when you'd have the turkeys, when they come to a 6-week stage, they used to give them dandelion. That time, when you'd be looking for it, you wouldn't get it. And now when you wouldn't be looking for it, there's plenty of it in it. More than it.
And what did the dandelion do for the turkeys?
I suppose there were a certain amount of iron in it.
Okay.
You'd notice when you would be giving it to them, the way their heads is redden up, and they'd be really healthy when they get it for, you cut it up and give it to them. That time they used to be boiling eggs for the young turkeys and giving them crud, they used to call it. They'd put down the egg and milk and let it boil and to go into, the same as a scrambled egg. And they'd feed that to the young turkeys. And then when they'd get on a bit bigger, then they'd get them different meals, like, then. And then we used to boil the spuds for the pigs and boil spuds for the hens and turkeys and give them oats on it.
And did you have any home cures for yourselves, for people? Is there any ones that you remember?
Well, sure, the dandelions are supposed to be for to clear warts.
For warts?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But whether it was a good cure or not, I don't know.
Okay. That's one too.
That was Kitty Haberlin. She married Percy Atkins. And that was Mary Welch Kitty was from Giles's Key. Mary Welch was Killasby. She married Sean Croke. Sheila Burns was from Bellevue. I don't know where she's married. Do you know?
No, I don't.
Catherine? I think she's up Carrick. I might be wrong now. And that's Vera Osborne. She married, what's that man in the Milers?
Meyer, oh God.
She was from Bellevue.
Yeah.
And that's another Welsh of Killasby. She married Paddy Phelan up in Conaleen. And that's Kathleen Morrissey from Slieverue village. She married a mason up in Ballahale. And that's myself. And that's Nolene Welch, a sister of Mary and Lily. She's married up in Piltown to, what's his name? Oh, having on the top of my tongue, I can't think of it. What's Nolan's? What's your man is up in...
Sean, is it Sean Welsh, no?
No. Nolan is married to, what's his name up in Piltown there? Oh, Jesus, I have it and I can't think of it. Judy, Pat Judy in Piltown, and that's Eileen Welch. I think she's in Mayo, isn't she?
I think so.
I don't know what her marriage name is. Eileen Welch, she's Luffney. And that's Annie, another sister of Nolan's, Mary's and Lily's. She was married to John Kearney over in Ballymountain. Her husband is dead. And that was Aileen Hartley. She was from Balnamona. She married Marty Buggy. Mary, born from Bellevue, a sister of Sheila's. She was married to John Fleming over in Gillespie. John is dead. She's still alive. And that was Alice Gilchrist. She was in Dublin. She was Alice Dial from Carriganora, a sister to Packet that I was talking about. And that's Mary Welch of Luffney. And who's Mary married to?
Dixie Connell?
Yeah, Connell, yeah.
And Alice, you were saying that you were the forward, full forward, right?
Yeah. I used to play in the forwards, mostly the full forward. But I couldn't tell you where the rest of them used to play then, I don't know.
Yeah, but you said you got the winning goal.
That's what I think anyway. That was.
And this picture, these two pictures are from
the farm here, yeah. They load in the hay to bring it home from the cocks.
Is that your father there, is it?
That's my father there, that man. That was the uncle. And that was Eddie.
And what was the name of the horse, do you remember?
Oh, Tom.
Tom. That's bringing in the hay, is it?
That's Daddy looking on there. I suppose whoever was taking the photo, he took time to look at him. And Jim was there as well. And Eddie was taking up a fork of hay to throw it up to him to build the load, to tie it up with the ropes to bring it home.
Yeah, great pictures. Thanks very much, Alice.
That's it then.
That's great.
That's the one then that we.
Oh, sorry, yeah,
50 years
that's
after.
Really interesting,
yeah.
So that's the ladies come back together again after.
Yeah, after 50 years.
And again, could you just quickly go through who was there?
That's Aileen Hartley, Aileen Buggy. And that's Lily Phelan. And that's Alice Gilchrist. And that's Alice Welch of Rochestown. She was still Welch. And don't know who she is. Nellie Haberlin. Nellie, do you remember Sean Welch's wife? She died there a couple of years ago. That was Mary Burns. And that was Mary Welch as well. And Kitty Atkins, Kitty Haberlin, Nolene Welch. And I'd say that's Mary Larrissy of Kilmurray. She married Johnny Whitty. And that's myself, Mary Welch, Vera Osborne, and Annie Welch, I'd say. Annie Kearney, and Vera Myler, Mary Croke, and myself, Mary Larrissy, Mary Whitty now, and Nolene Doody, and Kitty Haberlin, Kitty Atkins.
And where was that taken, Alice, that picture?
In the Rue Glen.
All right.
We were with the hurlers that night. They celebrated the 50 years.
All right.
Yeah. But they didn't know that we were after winning the same year as they won the county final as well that year.
That was a good year for Slieverue.
It was, yeah. But sure, Camogie that time was just simple.
Yeah.
So when I see him now, sure, they're as good as the men at it.
Absolutely.
They are though.
Absolutely.
They are.
Yeah,
really.
It's true.
They are.
Alice, thanks a million.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks a million. It was lovely to meet you.
I hope that